A little while ago I made a video about the true value of vintage lenses, and in particular FD mount lenses, much like this 35-70 f3.5 to 5.6. And at the time I had only been using these FD mount lenses that I have on this Photodiox Pro adapter, which, if we can get off of here, has a little lens inside. And this lens is not optical quality, it's not fantastic. And what it doesn't do is allow on my 6D these lenses to focus to infinity. And that was a little problematic, as you might imagine, because there's a whole lot that happens past 3 meters that you would typically like to be able to capture. One of the other downsides was that on lenses like this 100 to 300, there isn't any IS on my 6D. So I was really kind of ragging on vintage lenses, and I even did a review of the lens that's currently on my Sony Alpha 6300, the Canon 50mm f1.4 FD mount lens. And I was saying all these bad things about it, how it's so soft, and you know, there was a lot of video of it being really soft, and my experience has entirely changed since then, and the experience was that way because of this adapter. This adapter, I believe, is made for APS-C size sensors, and it's not really good at all for working with my 6D. So this glass element is just so problematic. But at any rate, since then, I have managed to acquire for myself an adapter for my E-mount system, the Sony Alpha 6300, and the lenses on there, these FD mount lenses on there, work fantastically. They're an absolute dream to work with, and I honestly don't have too many lenses sharper than that 50mm f1.4 anymore. My Sigma 30mm is obviously sharper. My 70-200 f4L/IS USM is obviously sharper, but apart from that, I don't believe that I have a sharper lens in the kit. And this lens I got for free. A buddy just was getting rid of his old film camera gear and just gave it to me, and I was like, well, sure, I'll find a use for it. You know, I've really gotten a lot of use out of these lenses, and it was this Photosea, I don't know how to pronounce it, Photosea is the best I can do, Photosea FD to E-mount adapter that really completely changed the game for me. And I think it wasn't only the adapter, despite being $14 and incredibly cheap to get into, it was also the Alpha 6300, because on the one hand, I'd been wanting to get into a 50mm for that camera. Additionally, with features like focus peaking, I can be very precisely sure of the focus that I'm getting in the image. And I recently used this on a professional shoot that I did, some senior portraits, and it was such a joy to work with. I took my 6D and the 70-200 and the 85 f1.8 that I have, and far and away the best images that I got out of that shoot were out of this combination right here, the FD 51.4 and the Alpha 6300, and that's what I shot with most of the day, most of the shoot, because it was so small and light and so easy to work with. It made me feel unobtrusive, and I felt like my subject felt much more comfortable with it because it was such a small package, and she was an artsy type, and so she appreciated the fact that it was an old vintage manual lens. I think that if you haven't given manual lenses a try, what you should do is go get yourself an Alpha 5000, Alpha 6000, Alpha 6300 body, and a cheap adapter and a cheap lens, and just do it, because it is so worth it. I mean, even this 35-70, which is kind of a piece of crap, is fantastic because it's predominantly intended as a macro lens. I don't know if you can see this, but most of this throw is before 1 meter. And then it very quickly accelerates, obviously, to infinity, but it means that the images that you get out of it with macro photography are very crisp and very sharp, and you don't really need an exceptionally shallow depth of field when you're working with macro in the first place. So I think you should really try it out. I think it's not a very controversial opinion, but it's worth a couple $100 investment if you have it in order to just play and have fun. I'm fully convinced that when I have the opportunity, I'm just absolutely going to get myself an Alpha 7 series camera and some more FD mount lenses, because it is the most pleasing shooting experience that I believe that I've ever had, especially for professional work, because it made me feel so much more involved and a part of the story that I was trying to tell. And I believe that it also helped my subject feel much more comfortable with me, because I wasn't sticking a huge lens in her face. And so I think that's, it allowed me to tell more of her authentic story with those images. And so I just would highly recommend giving it a shot. So thank you very much for your time and for your attention. I really appreciate that you've watched this video, and I would appreciate it even more if you would like, comment, or subscribe. Especially comment. I love having conversations with y'all about different elements, and even if you disagree with my opinion, I'd so much rather have that conversation than not. Oftentimes I learn quite a bit from y'all who have very different experiences than I do, and I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.